Good morning, it's meteorologist Michael Fecca. Welcome back to the morning weather and news update for you here. We do this every day at 8:30 a.m. to give you the latest weather and news headlines. We start off with our forecast here, and then we'll transition over to Casey and Mitch, and they'll give you a look at what we can expect for our news headlines through the rest of our day. But let's get started here with our forecast, and no surprise, the same forecast that we had yesterday. We're on alert for that heat and humidity. We have that heat advisory that's in effect through Friday evening. We have the potential to see triple-digit heat indices ranging anywhere between 100 to 107 degrees. There's a look at that advisory. It spans more than just the tri-state. It goes all the way down into the deep south, as far north as the Great Lakes, and as far east as the eastern seaboard, all of us included in either a heat advisory or an excessive heat warning. So this heat dome that has been taking over the eastern half of the United States is quite large and very persistent. But let's take a look at what our temperatures are currently. We've warmed up since this morning already. We started out in the mid 70s. We've now warmed up into the lower 80s, 83 degrees now in Evansville, 81 down towards Paducah, and around 83 also down towards Bowling Green. Now looking at our dew points, this is what really makes that heat so much worse, is that our dew points are in the 70s, well into the 70s. So that is just a downright tropical, soupy air mass that we're dealing with, and it's not really going anywhere either. We don't have much of a breeze, and we don't have any frontal systems to kind of kick out all of this extra moisture. So it just becomes super, super muggy and very, very hot. Now already at 8:30 this morning, we are feeling like 89 degrees. So nearly 90 degrees is what it feels like outside in Evansville. So it's only going to get worse as we go through the day today. We've already cracked 91 up towards Mount Carmel. Now here's a look at our setup. This area of high pressure, it's anchored just off to our east. So we've got counterclockwise flow, clockwise flow around this high pressure system. So that brings up winds from the south, which is why it's so hot and humid. And not only is this high pressure system pumping in the heat, but it's also blocking any fronts from moving through. So we have this frontal boundary that's kind of locked up to our northwest over the Great Lakes, and it's extending all the way through the Central Plains there. And back behind this front is where there's actually some cooler air. There was actually a mix of snow and rain falling across portions of the Mountain West right now. They're actually experiencing cooler than average temperatures, whereas the eastern half of the state is now experiencing warmer than average temperatures. So unfortunately, that high is going to keep that boundary placed off to our west, so we're not expecting any relief from that front anytime soon. The only relief we may get throughout the day is that slight chance for an isolated shower or a downpour, but that will only impact maybe a few people, and the rest of us will likely stay dry. So consider yourself lucky if you get one of those showers. Now, here's a look at our forecast for today. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy. Highs will top out in the mid 90s once again. And again, it's hot and humid. That's the theme here as we go through the next several days. We'll stay warm and muggy overnight tonight, 75 degrees for our overnight lows with partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Now looking at our heat index forecast for today, we'll continue to climb up there into the triple digits. So already it feels like almost 90 at 8:30. We'll likely start to feel like 100 degrees by the time we get to 11, and then between 100 and 107 degrees possible is what our feels like temperatures are going to be as we go through this afternoon. So I can't stress it enough. Make sure you guys are taking this seriously. Once we get above 105 for that heat index is when we start to really be at risk for those heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and other things. So please, please, please make sure you're drinking plenty of water and taking frequent breaks in the air conditioning. Now, I mentioned we did have that slight chance for an isolated downpour or a shower. Here is that chance. It's not really associated with any storm system. It's just because it's so hot and humid that at some point you just get a little bit of a thunderstorm or a shower to develop. So they usually only last about 30 minutes and then they collapse really quickly. So not expecting anything widespread with that. And then once the sun sets, we'll lose all that daytime heating energy, and then the showers and thunderstorms will collapse as well overnight. And then we'll, just like clockwork, once we get into Wednesday afternoon, same thing, hot, humid, isolated chance for a shower or a downpour is possible, and then all that will kind of fall apart once the sun sets. So looking at our 7-day temperature trend through the rest of this week, we'll top out in the lower 90s to mid 90s, especially today and tomorrow. But as we get towards the end of the work week this weekend, that's when we'll start to drop back down into the lower 90s. And then we also have better chances for some scattered showers and thunderstorms that will do a little bit of a better job at actually cooling us down consistently. So we actually start to break out in normal or near normal temperatures by the middle of next week. So hopefully we can keep that trend and we can just enjoy our 88-degree high with not as bad humidity. But unfortunately, it looks like our dew points are going to stay really elevated up into that muggy to stifling category there. Dew points in the 70s don't really look like that change until we get into the middle of next week. But here's a look at your peak heat index forecast through the next several days. So I think today will be hot and obviously through the rest of this week, but it does get a little bit better as we climb towards Friday. So we'll be topping out around 100 for those feels like temperatures. But anyway, for the next few days, we're still in that dangerous category. So again, sunstroke, heat cramps, or heat exhaustion is very likely, and heat stroke is possible, especially with any prolonged exposure or physical activity outdoors, which is why if you work outside, we really urge you to take frequent breaks, frequent water breaks, air conditioning breaks, doing everything you can to stay cool. You need to know the signs of heat exhaustion. You don't want to end up in a tough situation. And then for folks who aren't necessarily having to work outside, but are just wanting to enjoy the sunshine a little bit, you definitely still need to take this seriously as well. Even if you're just going to the pool or going for a walk in the park, we really recommend you do that in the morning or later on in the evening. We don't recommend any sort of physical activity during the heat of the day. So here's what we can do. Here's some safety tips. We've been showing this all week long here, at least since last weekend. We really want you to reduce strenuous activity or eliminate it entirely or reschedule it to the coolest time of day. So if you're a daily jogger, you want to walk your dogs, it's best to do that in the morning, preferably before 9 o'clock is usually when we start to really feel that heat this time of year, or you can move it towards the end of the day, later on in the afternoon and into the evening hours as the sun is setting. That's the best time to go out for a walk. And if you are going to be outside, you want to wear lightweight, light-colored clothing that reflects that heat and sunlight away from your body. And you want to drink plenty of water, non-alcoholic fluids, even if you don't feel thirsty. You just want to completely or constantly be replenishing your fluids. And you don't want to get too much sun. I know it's tempting to sit out there and get a tan, but sunburn actually makes it a lot harder to cool down. So you don't want to get too much sun because that may just increase your body temperature entirely. So looking at some other safety tips, we've run this a couple of times as well, but I think this is also important. You don't want to forget anything or anyone in your car. Make sure you're constantly checking, making sure you're not leaving your animals in your vehicle either, because with the temperature of 90 degrees outside, your car can get significantly hotter. Just after 10 minutes, you'll warm up to around 109 degrees for the inside of the car. After 30 minutes, it could warm all the way up to 124 degrees, and then after an hour, 133 degrees is what it will be like in your car. So please, making sure you are taking care of that and not leaving anything in your vehicles, especially if it's closed and without air conditioning. Looking at your rain and storm chances for the rest of this week, again, we have the isolated chance for a downpour or a thunderstorm each afternoon during the heating of the day, but slightly better chances arrive as we get towards this weekend and into the beginning of next week. We're still looking at that scattered shower and thunderstorm chance. So that is all I have for the forecast here. I'm going to go ahead, let me go ahead and check out the comments. If you guys have any questions, feel free. If you have any reports, if you want to leave any heat safety tips that you've been doing in the comments here. I know a lot of our viewers appreciate when we help each other out in the comment section. So it looks like Teresa says 90s hot. Oh, that picture looks like a heartbeat. Stay safe and hydrate. Yes, absolutely. Staying safe and hydrating is the best thing that you can do. But that is the only question I see for right now. So I'm going to go over this 7-day forecast. I'm not seeing anything else.
What SPF do you recommend?
Oh, what SPF do I recommend? That's from Mitchell Carter. He's right here. I recommend, at least anything above 30 is going to be a general rule of thumb. If you're very, very pale, I'd recommend 50 or above. So maybe that's a helpful tip for somebody. But looking at our 7-day forecast here, we'll remain on alert through Friday. I actually have the wrong 7-day here pulled up for you, so let me go ahead and put the right one right in there. So on alert through Friday, triple-digit heat indices are likely here, and then we'll have the chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms as we get into this weekend. That will help cool us down as we get into next week. So that is all I've got here. I'm going to hop off the stream. I'm going to send it over to Casey and Mitch for your news headlines for the morning.
Watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices.
Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us here for our 8:30 stream show. The moment you've all been waiting for. It's the news part. I'm Mitch.
That's right. I think that's a lie. I think they were tuning in for weather. But you know
Absolutely.
what? We're here too if you need us. So that's typically our format. We're going to kick things off with the latest in the forecast, of course. Today, Michael Fecca. He's actually joining us all week long. He's in for Byron. So we're happy to have you, Michael. He's sitting in the corner over there. He's like, I'm done with my part.
Yes. And obviously the big story here, it's no secret. It's hot out there. It's going to stay hot. Of course, we've been on alert all week long. Going to be on alert until Friday. Going with that, let's get right into this here. Our big thing we push all the time here, and it's really, really important, is staying up to date with our Week of Alert days by downloading our free 14 First Alert weather app right there. Normally, I'll ask you to scan that code on your screen there. If you're on your cell phone, though, and can't scan it, not a big deal. You can also search 14 First Alert in your app store. All of our meteorologists, Michael, Jeff, Byron, Arden, they do such a great job of keeping that updated for you there and keeping an eye on things for you. And not only just for heat, but anytime we have tornadoes, thunderstorms, anything like that, they're really, really great about keeping that updated and keeping you informed. You can get push alerts on there that let you know when storms are kind of moving into your area, when you need to hop on and watch them when they cut into the airwaves and all that. So good tool there, good resource.
Yes, I was about to say it's a great tool to have. Moving on, we're obviously keeping things on theme this morning, talking about these just hazardous heat conditions out there. So we wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update here. This is about some cooling centers that are going to be in the area that you can utilize due to these extreme temperatures happening this week. So the C.K. Newsom Center in Evansville, they're going to be open as a cooling center, and that's going to be from 8 to 5 each day. Also, all public libraries, all those locations are available for people to just come in, cool off during their business hours. They're going to be open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. through Thursday. Other cooling centers that we have for you here on your screen, we've got 2 branches out of the Jasper Du Bois County Public Library. And if you live in Gibson County, in that area, you can actually head to the Salvation Army in Princeton if you need to just, again, cool off, take care of yourself, stay safe. In Spencer County, you can head to the Public Library in Rockport. Finally, there's one in Union County as well. That's at the Senior Citizens Building in Sturgis. Again, these are open all week as a cooling center for those who need it.
It's good advice, too, of course. You know, we haven't seen anything right now so far that I know about, but, you know, as stress continues on the grid with people running their AC right now, of course, it is so hot out there. If your HVAC goes out, for some reason your house gets too hot, head to one of those, please. We've got that all online for you right now at 14news.com, all those cooling centers. And if you can't make it to one of those, I mean, anywhere, a mall, a store, the library, anything like that would be great, just to get yourself out of that heat until things get back up and running. So
that's right. And of course, our topic today, if you guys want to chime in the conversation, we've always got you pulled up here. We can see your comments. We are going to be talking, this next story is, it's about the county fairs and how they're handling the heat. But we want to know a little bit about your growing up experience going to the county fair. Maybe you've been to one, maybe you never have, but we grew up in Gibson County. The fair was the highlight of the summer and pretty much still is. Lots of fun. I always enjoyed some memories from that. So chime in the conversation. Tell us maybe one of your favorite fair memories or anything that you plan to do this summer at your county fair, which one you're going to, and maybe an event that you're really looking forward to.
Sounds good.
Let's get right to our next and final story here. We are talking again about the fairs and how they've really been handling the heat out there. You want to take this one on?
Absolutely. Union County Fair already underway there. Also taking precautions, of course, like you just said there, Casey, because of the heat. So they've got water fountains set up inside and water stations outside for fairgoers there. The animals themselves, you see them right there in your screen, being kept in shaded areas, and there are fans inside of the barns. And look at that. Is that a zebra?
That is a zebra. All morning long, I kept saying, guys, is that a zebra? I'm seeing out of the corner of my eye.
Well, with those fans and shade, they're about 10 to 15 degrees cooler inside of the barns, which is great. Of course, it's the 75th year now for the fair, and board members say they've, of course, had a lot of practice in dealing with these conditions.
I haven't been on the fair board as long as a lot of the members, but I've been on around 15 or 16 years. We've had hotter fairs. We've had substantially hotter fairs, but the good thing is again, at that time we didn't have all the cooling areas that we have now, all the fans, the air-conditioned areas, the shade that we have now. So we've been working. That's been the number one concern of ours this past week is how are we going to keep people cool?
That was a full day to start things off there, Casey. A lot going on.
Yeah, that's right. And as you mentioned, yeah, that was a zebra or maybe a donkey with lots of stripes. We're not sure. So the little Mr. and Miss pageant, those are always so fun to check out. The rabbit and poultry show, those both ran last night along with the Miss Union County pageant. So lots of fun. I actually judged a county fair queen contest pageant about 2 years ago. My dad and I, we were asked to be guest judges, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life because those young ladies were all so bright, so talented, so poised. I said, I have no right doing this. You all are winners. I could just give them all,
there you go.
all the crown I would. But yeah, we always had our queen pageant. We had live music. They always brought in like a kind of up and coming to middle country music artist. I think this year at the Gibson County Fair is going to be Colt Ford, which he's well established. Yeah. So what about you, Mitch? Any fair memories?
I was going to say, we talk about it all the time already. We've done it a lot lately, but I know, speaking of Union County, Jamie French, I believe, was Miss Union County. And so I've seen those photos where she had to kind of hand off the crown. And I think I don't quote me on this, Jamie, if you watch this, but I'm pretty sure a family member of hers, maybe a family friend, either won it last year or has competed before. So exciting stuff there. A lot of family ties down Union County. Of course, everyone knows the Frenches. Nice people down there.
We love the Frenches. And she kind of passed the sunrise baton off to me the morning that she said goodbye to the sunrise viewers to then, of course, go join our evening newscast. So that's kind of what we did there. It was like I was, she crowned me the new sunrise princess, I guess.
Yeah, hey, whatever works.
That's right.
I think for me, though, like a county fair, obviously, I'm from Du Bois County, which they also do it very big there at the fairgrounds. My favorite was always, the animals. You go in there, you can pet the goats and the horses and all that. Of course, they do kind of the rodeo stuff. They'll do the roping and the barrel racing. That's always super cool. I had friends who did that. I didn't. I wasn't that brave, but I had buddies who did, and it was always really fun to watch them and watch the animals, like horses in particular, how incredible and how fast and just put together they are and well-trained and just really, really neat. It's always cool, too, to see kids who kind of take an interest in that and 4-H and that kind of stuff get to kind of showcase their talents in front of the entire county, if you will. So very always very cool. And also in small towns like ours, draws a huge crowd. So excited to see how they all shake out.
Yeah, I didn't really grow up doing 4-H either, but I had so much respect for the kids that did, because the discipline and the responsibility that they taught taking care of those animals and then showing them, it was really outstanding to see. And of course, it was just fun to go get a corn dog and funnel cake, ride the trolley over to the barns at the back. We always kept ours at the back of the fairgrounds. You had to like take a trolley back and just walk. I love animals, so getting
fun.
to see all the animals was cool. We actually took my daughter Addie when we moved back to the area. We went to the Vanderburgh County Fairgrounds and took her to go see all the animals and got a kick out of that. It is fun. I am glad we ran the story on what they're doing though to ensure that those animals stay cool. Because it is pretty, you know, it's intense on them out there too. I know they're used to being outside, but this is no joke what's going on across the tri-state right now.
Definitely.
So
And really good segue as well. Speaking of animals in general, you know, your dogs out there, as you walk them, get them out, you know, watch yourselves with the concrete. I mean, try to walk in the grass if you can. And we talked about that this morning. I think in South Dakota, we saw a road had split because asphalt and concrete gets so hot with this heat wave and the sun kind of beating down on it. And of course, if it's hot on your bare feet, it's hot on their paws.
Yes.
So try to, you know, limit the walking time if you can. Of course, they've got to go to the bathroom. Do what you got to do. But like I said, try to keep them in the grass if you can, that kind of stuff. Obviously, clean up after, but, you know, do what you can to keep their feet safe as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Always just a good reminder to look out for our animals. And even if you have a dog that's used to being outside or a cat, just take some extra steps this week because they, like I said, may be used to it, but just go ahead and just make sure they do have access to shade and water. Been saying that all week long here. So I tell you, when we were heading into work this morning, I mean, the sun wasn't even out yet. And it was so hot. I was walking in the building and I thought, how is it this hot when the moon is out?
It
It's
was
crazy.
like 80 degrees at 2 in the morning. It was unbelievable. My car was like kind of condensation on the inside. I was like, what are we doing? But of course, you know, we'll keep an eye on this and any comments right now. I haven't seen anything in particular.
I'm going to actually check on our YouTube comments because last week my sweet brother-in-law, he was like, I commented over on YouTube. And I said, the one day we didn't check over on our YouTube page. So let's check over there. Again, we're talking any fair traditions, favorite fair memories or stories, or maybe what food you like to eat or whatever. Tell us. We will definitely, you know, there we are. We're live right now. There we are. Look at that. Isn't that amazing technology, you guys? And a reminder of where they can live stream this.
Oh, yeah. So that's Roku, Apple TV, obviously our app. And then for those of you joining us right now on Facebook and YouTube, you can catch us there at all times. And of course, we'll be back here every day at 8:30, kind of talking. We'll have Michael first this week, and of course, Byron once he's back from his vacation. And then, of course, ourselves after them. And then at 2:30, I know Jamie's off right now, but it's Rob and Jamie and Arden or Jeff or whoever's in at that point. So we do this every day, 8:30 and 2:30. And of course, the big story this week, not going away. It's no secret there. We're not hiding it from you. It's hot. It is staying hot. We're on alert right now. And of course, we'll keep an eye on that as the week continues. Looking forward to not cool temps, but cooler, kind of closer to normal this weekend and heading into next week.
Yes, so the end is in sight. You guys just hang in there. Right, Michael?
He's
Thumbs
ready.
up. Okay, I don't see anything super exciting in the comment section. That's okay, though, because this is then posted to our Facebook wall. So throughout the day, you all talk amongst yourself, maybe comment your favorite fair memories or anything you want to talk about, from headlines to this week's weather. It's an open conversation there that you guys can have, so be sure to comment. And, of course, we'll be right back here tomorrow at 8:30 to do this all again, weather, headlines, and a little chit-chat. You know I like this streaming
this is
because
her
I'm a
favorite
talker.
thing.
I'm like, this is great. I get to talk as much as I want. But Mitch is like, all right, it's lunchtime for us, so we're going to get out of here. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on 14 News Sunrise, and we'll see you right back here for our 8:30 streaming show. Have a great day. Stay safe out there.